When did dishonesty become the norm? Norm! Now, humans have always been exceedingly dishonest. That is the way of all flesh. Thank you and good night. I am sick. So, no, I am sick, but in the modern day, there does feel to be something different than the aged dishonesty. And maybe it's just because we're alive now, so that's why it's different. Possibly. Maybe it's because of the internet and the ubiquity of information, and everyone feels they know everything. There's a thing I look for in people. I would define it as sophistry. A person who has come to equate their being right with truth. If I believe it right, then it is true because I couldn't be wrong. They are so confident in their own intellectual abilities that they have come to associate being right with truth. Now, the problems here are all over the place. Most situations are extremely contextual. What is a perfect answer over here? What will make everything, what will make the trains run on time, will cause disaster over here. Same answer, completely different results because things are very, very contextual. Why something works in one place does not mean it will work over here. It is the way of things. There are universal truths when talking about people, but this is very different than when talking about social groups and societies as a whole. You're not like talking about something where it is beneficial to eat 3 to 5 meals a day. It is beneficial to get 8 hours of sleep. It is beneficial to exercise. These things are like universal truths. They are true of all people. But if you come and say something like waking up at dawn is good for all people, well, no, that's not true. There are situations where waking up at dawn is great. But if you're a farmer, you might have to wake up before dawn. If you work at night, waking up at dawn is a terrible idea. It is context. I was combining contextual and context. But but there's this kind of sophistry that goes around online today where people are very forceful in the way they talk. They speak with deep emotion, and that's how you can tell they really believe what they're saying. And as soon as I see emotion getting involved, I'm taking steps back and thinking this person is. They're willing to shape the truth so it looks a certain way. And as soon as you start touching the truth and fucking around with it, you're lying, in my opinion. You're being dishonest. It is why I tell people never call government offices on a Monday. Never begin a text message with the word no. People don't hear, no, I'd like to do something else. They hear, no, I want to do something else. They don't hear that. Remember, the other person is reading it and they're running it through the filters in their mind how they have been told no in their lives. And usually they don't hear no, they hear no. Don't begin text messages with the word no. Don't call government offices on a Monday because nobody's happy to be at work, especially in the morning. That is the worst time to call on Monday mornings, and often that is the time everyone's lining up to call, and the government workers are just miserable. You talk to government workers, you say, thank you for your time. I appreciate you taking your time out to help me. Show them gratitude because nobody does, and that goes a long way, and it makes them feel better about their job. Chances are there's a reason they got into civil service. At one time they cared and they've become deeply jaded because people are such fucking assholes and treat them like shit. Treat them nicely and they will be helpful to you. But back to dishonesty. That is the end of my sophistry rant. I see this a lot online. I would consider them sophists. People that think I am right, and because I can't be wrong, what I know is right is truth. Well, truth, like I said, is very contextual. And I look at situations when I was growing up that I might have been on the periphery of. And what I'd see written in the newspapers, and I'd see the police having their conferences, whatever you want, press conference. And what the police would say had 80% of it was made up. But what I know that actually happened, that's not the truth. What's the police said and what's written in the newspapers, that's truth. Now, I know what really happened in several of these situations, but that's not what really happened anymore. The truth is what's in that newspaper. And I could tell people that's wrong. They made that up. Who would they believe? That's the truth. What I know isn't the truth. Truth is a very slippery thing sometimes. But when it comes to people and groups, there was a guy named Krister Stendhal. He was a religious scholar. He came up with 3 ideas for judging other religions. But with how religious politics in America have become in the past 10 years, I find this helpful to bring in to just groups in general. Now, Krister Stendhal's first rule was if you want to learn about a group, you ask the members of that group, not their enemies. So, anytime you hear MAGA people being like, I'm going to tell you about what Antifa believes, or anytime you hear people like the Young Turks being like, I'm going to tell you what Trump supporters believe, you know it's bullshit. It has no connection to reality whatsoever, and it is their wild fantasies about why they hate these people and what's wrong with them, and it's just bullshit. There's no other way to put it. Like, it's bullshit. But that is a very, very common thing. If you want to know about a group, you ask the members of that group, not someone else. Ask them what their complaints are. Ask them why they feel the way they do. And in no group will you get one person who can speak for an entire group, but it at least will give you an idea of where they are coming from. Krister Stendhal's rule number 2. Do not compare your best to their worst. Anyone who does this, and I'm number one thinking of call-in shows where they have people let up like baby seals, people who don't know how to speak in public, are overexcited and overstimulated, tripping over their words, and they just club them down like baby seals. And like, look, can you believe they believe these things? They actually believe these things. Wait, so you're asking me if I can believe that you believe that they believe it? It's fucking stupid. You can make anyone look dumb if you take them in a certain environment. Any kind of public speaker online, especially the political ones, if you put them in a situation where there's going to be immediate violence, if they say something that a person dislikes, they're going to start tripping over themselves because they're not used to very violent situations. And if someone's going to cave your skull in if you say something they don't like, you're going to start tripping over your words too. You're going to be nervous. If you put someone in a position where they're going to be nervous, they're not going to do very well, especially if they're unfamiliar with it. And this is why call-in shows and shows where they pick and choose who to let up just to make them look like an asshole, this does not mean anything. Once again, these people are clowns. They are here to entertain you. They are not here to inform you. Number 3, rule from Krister Stendhal. Leave room for envy. What do you admire about the other side? What do you look at in that group and say, that's good. I wish I was like that. I wish I could have that in me, but I can't for whatever reason. Like, frequently, what is traditionally considered the left, something I admire in it is they can envision a better world. And it's something I often say about women because they can have kids. So they often see the future in a much more positive way than I am able to. And I find that admirable. They can imagine the world as a better place. I cannot. I can only see it as a worse place. The right, in general, it is very ordered in a way that still in this point in my life, I find it difficult to make the trains run on time. I have routine, I have habit, I have an order to my life, but my life is not ordered. That is something I find admirable. It is often comes from the military and a very rigid set of rules that make things function. I admire that. I see that as a positive thing. They want to impose order on society. That's not a bad thing. The left often wants to make a better world. That in it of itself is not a bad thing. But how both sides have chosen to go about enacting this has now become embarrassing to anyone watching, at least anyone with a brain. So, dishonesty seems to have always been the norm. Are people more dishonest today? Yes, because I think we interact more through the phone. Human interaction has never been like this before and never been this anonymous before. If you ran your mouth in the city square in Rome, someone was liable to stick a gladius in it. I think that's a Roman sword. Doesn't matter. A short sword. I'm sick. Take it for what it's worth.